Oh, and welcome back to the Journeymen. We're joining you after a weekend of great drama in the Premier League over the weekend. One of the most unique weekends of all time since its inception in 1992. I'm joined again by Sean Finch Meehan and Dan Osborne. I
Yeah.
have no idea where Scott Howe is, and Leon McGuinn thinks he's
But they're
better than
part of
us
this,
in
yeah.
doing journalism masters in London. Anyway, back to the football. It's difficult to know where to start after a week of VAR controversy, late
How about you start
drama.
with VAR controversy?
Well, yeah, we could start with VAR controversy. And it happened at the Amex on Saturday morning or afternoon. Was
It's a
after 12.
morning. It's not early
Yeah,
in Saturday
Yeah.
afternoon, Sam.
yeah.
The early game is the
Anyway,
morning game.
in the early game, one of the most bizarre endings to a game of football ever. Really, I think the first time that a penalty has been given after the final whistle. Lads, any complaints about the decision? And we'll talk about how lucky United were afterwards. But in the context, was the decision right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that one, like, there were a lot of bad decisions this weekend. I think that the Mope handball at the end was fine.
I think
He
like
jumps with his arm in
it's
the air, and Harry
Uh,
Maguire's header is going towards goal, I think. And I don't know, I think that's a fair one.
I think it's just
yeah, I think
stupidity on the part of Mopé, the way he's going to
Mm.
the ball. Like,
no one has any qualms about the actual penalty. I think the only thing I've seen on Twitter, and it's from a lot of people, usually over the age of 50, with the same kind of profile picture, giving out that the game is gone because a penalty was awarded after the referee had blown a full time
Okay,
whistle.
but
But that
would you rather?
rule is accounted for in the new rules that if the referee hasn't left the pitch.
Yeah, like, would
it's
you rather
like,
the
but
incorrect call or a slightly late correct call?
it's like that's it's the right call. Like, it makes no
Yeah,
difference. I don't think, like, just because it full time's gone, you immediately, like, and then the ref goes to his ear and you're like, oh, bollocks. Like, if you're a Brighton fan or you're a Brighton player, that's immediately your first talk. And like, because I wouldn't have said that just because the final whistle goes doesn't mean that that everything's finished, that everything's cut and dry. Like, because
I would say that if that wasn't given and the ref did allow the both teams to just leave the pitch, there would be a lot more controversy. Looking
exactly,
back, the VAR didn't intervene on such a blatant handball.
exactly.
The VAR, I think, to its credit, VAR has worked better this season. Like you see referees going over to the monitors almost all the time now
It's
to overrule
I,
stuff.
I just like
it's
I
worked
think
differently.
yeah I
I
just
think it's more effective than it was last year.
I,
The rules haven't helped, but
see
It's
that's
just
the
a
thing.
handball thing.
yeah.
That's the aspect of it. Like, and VAR will always be drawn into these discussions because the rule is stupid around handball.
Yeah.
So that, like, people
Mhm.
will blame VAR when it's not really VAR's problem. It's the rule
And
itself is idiotic.
there's something I'm getting tired of hearing, which is commentators saying things like, "Oh, well, the ref can't do anything about it. It's just the rule." But referees are supposed to they're playing it essentially. They're playing the judge. They have to apply the rules through some lens of common sense.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say on this, and like pundits, especially like because we would hear it because we're close to England and our kind of most of our football we watch through that English gaze, like on Sky
Yeah,
Sports
it's
and,
all
and
British
Match of
football.
the Day or
Like, it's
whatever,
yeah.
and it's just this colonial mindset that I can't like get away from. And like, I don't know whether it's the same in Portugal and Spain or wherever, but fuck me, English football is not that special, lads. You're not like,
No,
this is the most
it's
like the
a
Jermaine
Jermaine
Genius.
Genius.
This is the most exciting league in the world.
Yeah,
Like, no, it's the biggest league in the world
You
because
said
it's
that
the
with no
most
basis at all. But
because
yeah.
it's the most
You can
expensive league in the world, bro. You just
like
proved that you don't watch a multitude of other
yeah.
leagues. I don't
Excitement isn't like a quantifiable metric to say, "Oh, this is the most exciting one."
exactly like the
It's just
biggest, the best
it's your
league in the
favorite.
world. It's like, well, it was Bayern and PSG in the Champions League final, and that's not
Yeah.
even a metric to go because it changes year on year. I'm not saying that he's not right. I'm just saying that English football is not so this special little flower that needs to be dealt with differently to the rest of European football. There needs to be an overall kind of, this is handball, this is how you deal with it, and they've done that this year. The only problem is that the handball rule is fucking stupid. because it makes no discernible sense. Because what it is that like they have a silhouette of your body in certain aspects, and if your hand or your arm is outside of this silhouette, it's a penalty. Like that doesn't account for human movements and the way in which you run around the football pitch, the way you position your body when you're dealing with crosses or dealing with a header. Like, it's just baffling. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But this does, like, it's not, it shouldn't be a case of, well, the Premier League should change this. No. IFAB need to change it. Like, it has to be an overall structural change. It can't just be, oh, well, you know, the cradle of football itself is here. So I really do feel as though, you know, we should fix this. It's like, yeah, well, all right, if you want to do that, then talk about how the conference hasn't started yet as well, Jermaine. Keep that same energy, bro. But you don't.
I suppose we might as well talk, since we're so animated on the issue of handballs, we might as well talk about the two most glaring decisions of the weekend. They were Eric Dyer's against Newcastle on Sunday and Joel Ward's against Everton on Saturday. Obviously, the Dyer one caught more attention because it was so late on, whereas Ward's was just at the end of the first half, and Palace had plenty of time to get a goal back, which they didn't. I think the Ward one was almost worse, but because of the timing of the Dyer one, it's always going to be the more focused on. Is there any defence for giving a penalty? Obviously, with the new rules, there's defence, but is there any defence for a situation where that is a penalty?
In the new rules, it's a penalty. Fine, but
I don't think the new rules, even the Joe Ward one, doesn't even look like it's outside the silhouette that much.
Hands by his side.
That's the thing.
Like that, I don't think even within the new rules that's not a penalty. But anyway, the Dyer one, it's tough to stomach. Palace obviously got lucky last week, and then we're on the receiving end this week.
Well,
so I have less sympathy.
It's a testament to Hodgson that he's like, this. I said it last week. Stupid.
Yeah.
I'm saying it this week. It's stupid. It doesn't matter whether it goes for us or goes against us. Same with Steve Bruce. He goes like, I don't blame Mourinho for walking down the tunnel because I'd be pissed off as well if that was given against my team. You know, especially considering fucking Newcastle didn't have a tap all game.
God, yeah.
It is a little bit on Tottenham for not putting them to bed. It's a cliche if you don't put them away.
Yeah, but a 1-0 win should still prevail.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know, if you're conceding a goal through a penalty, that should it just shouldn't be a penalty.
No.
Then you have a right to be pissed off, regardless of whether you should have put the game.
Absolutely.
Brighton,
regardless of how funny it is,
should have put the game
because I love it.
They hit the fucking post and bar 5 times. You know,
5 times.
Yeah.
This is also.
But to be fair,
what?
Just a quick note on that, because I think Brighton were very lucky, because we never actually talked about how shit United were, but thought Brighton were very unlucky to hit the post 5 times. But like when you look at Trossard's last one, that's just poor finishing.
Listen.
And that's
But
the
crossbar, or we hit.
Yeah, when he's 1-on-1 with the Hay and he just got a bit too horny and smashed the ball into
like
the
in fairness, and like, I'm not saying poor finishing. I'm saying that's too good a finish. That's a too good.
He hit it too well.
He hit it too well. The old cliche of he hit it too well.
I don't know how the Solly March one doesn't go in, like when it just like hits the post, basically goes across the line. And Trossard's miss at the end was the worst of them all when he just poked it at the Hay.
Yeah, that was bad.
But if we want to get into some actual like match analysis, like
that was the first time I've ever seen Solly March, and he's actually played well.
He made a fool of Wan-Bissaka for large parts of that game.
Wan-Bissaka was just going into him like just to get his tackle stats up, and he wasn't winning the ball at all. Like, I don't know what happened. What happened to Solly March?
United were very worrying though. Like obviously the Rashford goal was very good. The Fernandes pass was very underrated. How good that pass was.
That was a great pass.
Ben White was very poor to go to ground twice.
Yeah, Ben White who plays for Leeds. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But like United were off. Obviously, Brighton hit the bar the post 5 times. I think the Webster one of all of them. Like I mean, the Hay is saving that if it doesn't go in. But anyway, we're getting.
It makes no difference. Like
it makes no difference. They had the bulk of the chances. United had 3 or 4 shots on target in the 90 minutes.
Brighton can feel aggrieved that from their first.
But they didn't come at least a point.
From their first 3 matches that they don't have at least 5 points.
Probably 7 is probably what they've earned.
And you know, like it's but it just shows how good that they have been. I think They were really unlucky. It was a shy goal to concede. The first one, like the second one, is brilliant by Rashford, and it's poor defending from White. But like, there's only so much you can do. I blame the first one more on that's poor defensive play. Like, you're leaving Matic wide open at the back post.
Yeah,
it's shocking.
Across, and it's
And,
like.
By the way, Lewis Dunk, how many own goals does this lad have?
Even the second goal, which was a Rashford goal, was him deflecting the ball into the net. Like,
he does get his body in there. That's
he does.
He's worth like 50 million because his passport is British.
What did you think on another VAR issue of the overruling of second penalty that Brighton awarded on Aaron Connolly? Alan Shearer, on Match of the Day, said it was a Stonewall penalty.
I'm not saying it's a Stonewall penalty, but I it's one of them you've seen them given.
I'm surprised it was overturned.
I was surprised it was overturned, but when you do look at it in slow motion, especially from the front, where you're looking at both players like front on, you do see Connolly's legs move back into Pogba. Like, you can see Pogba like take a step back to try and avoid that contact.
Yeah, but that's the
honestly,
thing.
if Connolly's a no-name. If he had a good rep, he would have gotten the penalty. It's like Jamie Vardy does that for every penalty.
Like, good strikers will get in front of their man and then initiate the contact from behind. I don't think it should have been overturned at all. I think the referee's given the penalty.
I think it was bang on to overturn. And I know that does sound biased as a United fan, but I really think that, like, you can almost see Connolly's arse move back into Pogba.
But he's initiating the contact. He's still going. Like, he's still going. It's not like he's completely come to a halt and then Pogba's ran into him, because that's not a penalty. But he's still running. He's keeping Pogba at his back, and he's slowed down the touch so that he knows Pogba can't slow down at the same time. Pogba's gone into him. It's a penalty. Like, again, it's a penalty. If you give a penalty, I don't think you can overrule it. I could be, if it's not given as a penalty, I'm like, killing the gang. Don't worry.
Whatever. Let it go.
Grand. But if you're given it as a penalty, and the only jurisdiction that you have is that if it's clear and obvious error, it's not clear and obvious. There's nothing clear and obvious about it. That's why there's it's a grey area around it. I think that, like, I know Connolly went down far too easy in a lot of aspects in that game. That was one where I was like,
there was a Matic forearm where I didn't even see it because I think United had just conceded and they were still showing highlights, and then you heard Stephen McManaman have a big moment like Gary Neville, and it was an arm across him and he went down, and then there was another penalty incident later.
It was the other.
He does seem to hit the deck. He does seem to hit the deck very easily, but that's exactly kind of what you want out of a player, and I hope to see it for Ireland if it does win us a penalty against Slovakia.
He got into those positions because he literally just went, I'm going to pull off to Lindelof, because you could pull off to either of the two centre halves United have. They're not quick, Wan-Bissaka had his hands full with fucking Solly March, so he wasn't going around to help. So, like, Connolly just went, okay, so if you play that ball over the top, I have Lindelof. Then Pogba has to come back, and Pogba again was absolutely shocking.
Yeah,
he's been terrible.
Short.
I'm shocked that it's 2 games in, but I will be shocked if Pogba keeps Van de Beek out of the team for long.
I think you have to change it for the next match.
You have to try him at least.
It's like, but he's just completely anonymous, and again. Bruno Fernandes got on the ball a lot more against Brighton, but I think it was just down to the fact that it wasn't Scott McTominay playing as well in there.
And Matic is much better.
Exactly. But Fernandes was also demanding it a lot more. He was like, no, I'm going to come back and I'm going to get it. And that's what led to ultimately that Rashford goal. But speaking of strange, unusual things to happen.
Where are we going with this?
Havertz caught the ball
the
other day, and it just wasn't given as a handball.
Phase of play.
The rules are so stupid. Like, if that Joe Ward one is a penalty, and then that's not
there's not a free out. Oh my god!
So they say it's not
so long. Like, it was so far away.
It didn't contribute to the goal because the West Brom defender cleared the ball, but the West Brom defender wouldn't have had to clear the ball if Havertz didn't control it with his hand right in front of him.
Exactly. That was that match.
Just before you start talking about Chelsea West Brom, I think it's funny that you said last week that if West Brom are 2 goals up at half time, everyone will say West Brom are doing grand and Chelsea are in a massive shit. And it turns out that that basically happened, even more so. And everyone still is convinced that West Brom are fucked and Chelsea are still pretty shit, because West Brom somehow controlled by a 3-goal lead.
This still isn't a good look for Chelsea.
No,
No,
I
They
think
still went 3-0 down to West Brom.
there's like, I was out for most of the first half. I got home when it was 40 minutes into the first half, and when I got to the door, my mum answered and she went, "Did you hear about the score?" I was like, "Oh fuck." 3-0. I was like, "Oh shit." And then I saw that Callum Robinson scored 2. I was like, "All right, I'm all right with that."
I mean, honestly, Chelsea are keeping the Irish dreams alive. Braces for Callum Robinson and David McGoldrick in the past few months.
What can you say? Like they're doing.
That's it. By the way, that was Callum Robinson's second and third Premier League goals ever. His first was also against Chelsea.
Chelsea last season.
He took them both very well, to be fair to him.
First, see, like I know the first is an Alonso mistake, a desperate Alonso mistake again.
What's new though?
But he did take that. Like you think that the chance is lost, and he just fires it across Caballero. And Caballero's
also
too old.
Wasn't even Kepa in goal.
Yeah, no, Caballero. Like I know for all of
he's not good.
Flaws, like Kepa's probably letting that in as well, but Caballero can't get down quickly enough to save that. I don't think he would have said. I don't think many good.
Sure, look, Mendy's here now.
Yes, he is. 6 foot, all 6'6" of them. But second goal.
Thiago Silva looks worrying for the second goal.
Thiago Silva with a mistake.
God,
like
he looked like an old man.
Because he is an old man. He's 36 years
yeah,
of age.
He looked like a 36-year-old football player.
And then the third goal is it's again Marcus Alonso just leaving Kyle Bartley. Listen, I would leave Kyle Bartley completely alone because he's shy, but maybe not 5 yards out. Because I'm going to give any professional footballer the benefit of the doubt to go score from there.
He did his best to miss it, to be fair. Like that was fairly close to going wide. Like,
as you said, it's Kyle Bartley. He's going to try to miss.
The only bonus from that match for Chelsea is that it appears that Frank Lampard's had enough of Marcus Alonso, and that he will try his best to sell him, which I thank the stars about, because Chelsea's best left back is Azpilicueta for now until Chilwell's fully fit. I know he's playing.
Chilwell's back now, by the way. He's playing right now.
But Azpilicueta just is perpetually one of the most underrated defenders in the Premier League, and like I'm better at left back than Marcus Alonso. I'm not better at left wing back than him, but he can't defend. The chap just full on can't defend. I think the comeback is great, coming from 3-0 down to draw 3-3. That's at least shows some form of fight and a willingness and a determination.
It's going to help them going forward.
It should do.
I mean, people people make jokes about it all the time, but it's still the one of the first moments for Klopp and Liverpool was a 2-0 comeback against West Brom.
Yeah, and like
that they celebrated like mad, and it's kind of a piss take, but it shows it gives the team resolve.
The only thing I'll say is that as soon as Tammy Abraham scored that goal, and I was saying it last night, go and pick up the ball and go. Don't be celebrating. Don't go off and celebrate to a camera. I know somebody else is going to get the ball and do it. Tammy, go get the ball and go back, put it on the line, and then try.
3-3 still isn't good.
Yeah.
1 point from West Brom isn't a good result anyway. You want to go for I think you need the win.
Bonuses for Chelsea is that Callum Hudson-Odoi looked good. He looked dangerous. And if you can link up more with Havertz, then happy days. Mason Mount again, like just out of nowhere, like he's very quiet, and then all of a sudden he'll just ping one in. Like,
although I did Johnson for that one.
Yeah.
Like he was so slow to react to that, but
it was the positioning was poor, but like the technique that Mount manages to get on the ball, like when he has like zero backlift and he can hit it like that with someone.
He's a really tidy player.
Yeah, he's
I really like Mason Mount.
I think, and again, it's a case of okay, now that Hudson-Odoi can come into the team and actually contribute, score the goal, like. Now it's the case of as soon as Pulisic is back and Ziyech is back, then Chelsea can finally put their best team on the floor. But again, it's not like it doesn't look great. Lampard can talk all he wants about defensive mistakes, but you need to instill in your defenders to do the basics right. And like you'd expect it out of Thiago Silva to do the basics right, and he got done in. And then
this is maybe not against West Brom, but this is the kind of results we were talking about with Chelsea coming into this year. High scoring games where they don't defend shit.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, they'll score a lot, but they're going to concede goals all season. They just don't have a solid defense.
Yeah, exactly. You need just a semblance of a solid back four, back five, whatever you're playing. I think that means you have to play as Piliquet as many games as you can. I know you want to play Chilwell and you want to play Reece James, and you don't want to play as Piliquet as centre half because he's 5'10". He's not tall enough. But I think you might have to. I think you might have to play him alongside maybe not Thiago Silva, maybe Kurt Zouma, maybe Fikayo Tomori. Definitely not Andreas Christensen in a million years. But
I mean, the back line they're playing against Spurs right now could be their best one. It's Chilwell, Azpilicueta as the fullbacks, Tomori, Zouma, and centre back.
yeah, like
that might be it.
But even at that, I think a load of teams are after Zouma. Spurs are after Rudiger as well. I think like the fact that he's kind of being kicked out the door is a bit strange. I would have had him down as probably Chelsea's second best.
He's better than Christensen. Yeah.
That man on there, fucking Andreas Christensen.
What was I going to say? So West Brom are obviously massively in peril. On 11 goals conceded from 3 games, but there's a club that looks like they're going to emulate Derby in 2007, 2008. Fulham are absolutely wank.
Oh my god!
I don't think that. I don't think we remember how bad Derby were. Fulham
they've got the right kit to start. They've got the white shirts and black shirts. They're on the right track. Yeah, they've lost their first 3 games. This is, I feel, just reward for
their owner isn't really going about it well. Have you seen their owner, Tony? Tony Khan?
He was going mad about the fact that they haven't got a centre back, which is, as you said on Twitter, stupid. It's also a kick in the teeth to the current players.
Look, Fulham's defence is terrible, but you can't just get on Twitter and be like, "Yeah, I know our players are really bad. I'm trying to replace them. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, like such a
mental
stupid way to go about things.
But yeah, as you said, like the thing I was saying on Twitter is all that does
to go about things.
Now every player Fulham go for, that's 10 million added onto his price tag.
Exactly.
The owner is publicly saying he needs defenders.
Looking at that, just looking at their defense before that match started, it was so weird that they were in a back 4, then they went to a back 5 when they were starting. It was all over the camp. Dennis Adoy isn't is a bad footballer. He's a bad footballer.
He might be Dennis Adoy might be the worst player in the Premier League.
That's the thing, and obviously, whoever was commentating yesterday made that point. Is the last time we played Aston Villa, he got done in by Jack Grealish and got sent off. Thankfully, Fulham won, but they still got done in by Grealish. Yesterday, they just got completely and utterly done in by Conor Hourihane. Basically any Aston Villa player.
Literally anyone who went at him. Yeah. He genuinely might be the worst player who gets minutes in the Premier League.
That's he was piss poor, and he could have been sent off as well. Some of the tackles that he was putting in, he looked out of position in every single facet of his game.
Even on the attack, the only things I can remember from Fulham are a bunch of crosses that resulted in Mitrovic heading it 20 yards over. It's all they had,
and then it did get pulled back because Mitrovic
hauling someone down after.
Very Mitrovic move.
Konza, or was it Mings, or don't even know who it was.
Can't remember who, but yeah, he just kind of threw him down.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of Mings though, his goal, that just shows everything wrong with Fulham's defense.
Was so piss poor. Imagine you're Alphonse Areola, right? Your past 2 clubs are PSG and Real Madrid, and you're going in there.
That's a real Shaqiri to Stoke move.
It's so strange.
I think that's even worse than Shaqiri to Stoke. At least they had some hope for a while.
At least you've got lads who had pedigree there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who in that Fulham team. Maybe Mitrovic definitely is.
How did he stay through their championship campaign? And how is he still at the club?
He's got a lot of loyalty as Alexander. Fair play to him. I would trust him. I trust him.
He's a fun head case to have back in the league. Yeah, he's one reason to watch Fulham.
He get on really well with Nikola Jokic. I feel he get on really well with Nikola Jokic.
Is he Serbian?
Yeah, he is Serbian. They're both Serbian.
Okay.
Yeah, they're bad. They're bad. Bad.
Teams can't wait to face them.
But here's another thing, right? Another team, right? I tell you, the only thing that they need, right, is to get 2 players and their manager, for them to get coronavirus, and all of a sudden, everything's all right.
Yeah, that was
West Ham went from complete basket cases to we're just going to spank Wolves 4-0. Like, nobody would have seen that coming. Nobody.
No. I actually tipped it, and I tipped Wolves to win 2-0 because obviously Wolves always beat West Ham 2-0, and West Ham are shit.
Yeah.
And
The only thing I'll say is that it's another moment of vindication for me being a Jared Bowen fan.
Really?
Oh yeah, I love Jared. Jared Bowen's a fucking player.
I'd like to stop you there. Ray Whelan, a loyal watcher of the show, will be very happy with your statement.
I tipped Bowen to be my championship top goal scorer last season, but Hull were shit and he got shipped off in January for a cool.
But he's still, like, you saw what happened when he left Hull last season. Like, they won one game in 20.
It like just get 2 of your players and your manager coronavirus, and all of a sudden Fulham, I think, one of them has to be a centre half. It could be Dennis O'Doy. I'm not saying I don't want Dennis.
I'd probably be the right thing to do to get him out of the picture for as long as possible.
Like for some period of time.
We're not advocating for anyone to get coronavirus. It's just as a disclaimer. It's just a suggestion.
Speaking of it, though, you know who did just get coronavirus?
Thiago.
Yeah.
Did he come on Monday?
No,
he didn't play. He was out of the squad. He was listed with an unspecified injury, which obviously turned out to be this.
Turned out to be coronavirus. That's not ideal, but doesn't matter if one of your new signings isn't there because he has coronavirus. You can just bring the other one on and score almost immediately.
Could have had a hat trick.
Could have had a hat trick. One was his own fault. The other was Mo Salah's fault.
I think Salah was a little pissed off because that would have been the first one that he missed would have been an incredible assist.
You can't get pissed off at people for missing.
He didn't. I know he didn't. Obviously, didn't really get pissed.
I do think Salah has
just
a
extremely
selfish streak in him.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember like Mane just giving out stink?
Yeah.
It's like fucking ball. Now, if you're Mo Salah and you've scored 99 goals for Liverpool, or 98 goals for Liverpool, is it? 98?
Yeah, one for Chelsea.
97 for Liverpool, 2 for Chelsea.
2 for Chelsea, 2 for Chelsea, yeah.
Yeah.
He scored once
record.
against Arsenal, did he not?
Yeah. The other thing is, though, Salah also leads the front line in assists every season he's been at the club. Like, he gets way more than Mane or even Firmino.
Yeah, but so does, but Thierry Henry did that as well, and he was a selfish bastard a lot of the time.
Yeah, but you kind of have to accept it when they can score and assist at that rate.
No,
and that's the thing. Like,
completely.
Nobody gets mad for more than 2 minutes, I feel like.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't. Well, like, sure, Jota wasn't because he just fucking scored almost.
He scored 2 minutes later. That's
what
something.
What do we think of the game in general?
It was there was a lot of praise for a team that lost 3-1. I also think the commentators kept saying, "Oh well."
Sorry. Go on.
Oh, sorry, I was letting you go. They kept saying like, Arsenal are putting up a better defensive showing and all than they did the last time they played at Anfield. The last time they lost 3-1, they lost 5-1 before that. So they're doing well to limit chances. But they were 2-1 down most of the game. What do you mean limit chances? They should be trying to score, and they barely had a shot.
I do think that I wasn't like madly impressed by Liverpool. Like people were saying that's like so good. It was like you did watch Liverpool last season, didn't you? Like they can play so much better than that. Especially against a team who didn't really Arsenal didn't show me anything special. Like, in fact, I was pretty disappointed coming away with it. Like, especially when they went 1-0 up, I'm like, okay, right, you literally have to bed in here.
Dig in for 15 minutes.
To get half time, they had to get half time. It was so close at half time.
You know, and then
they didn't last 2 minutes. Like
exactly, and it's just it was lazy. I think it was
poor defending from both Scottish fullbacks on the night.
That's what I'm saying. Like the second and third best Scottish fullbacks, they got shown. Charlie Mulgrew needs to start.
Obviously, the Robertson one was bad, but the Tierney one, it's like he just. So weak and
the Robinson one is worse. Let's call it straight.
Robertson's one is a more ridiculous kind of embarrassing moment.
But it's a mistake.
It's a gaff.
Yeah.
Tierney's one is just bad defending. Like
It's shocking. That.
Robertson one is just a million times he'll never do that, and then the one time.
Yeah, Robertson won't do that again. Robertson won't do that again for 50 games. Tierney could do that every second game. Like that's something he actually has to improve on. Robertson can't just say, "Oh well, I need to improve on not scuffing the ball right outside my goal."
Like
Exactly.
you can't let Mo Salah cut inside onto his left foot inside the box. Like you surely got to make sure he goes down the line on his
Just
right.
chase him down. Yeah.
Obviously,
great from Salah,
going to make sure you're there to try and block him. Like he's just ghosted by him. And the defending for the Robertson goal itself was absolutely terrible as well.
Like you're leaving him with so much.
Yeah, Willian just did not follow.
Like I know,
it was Willian's responsibility. He just didn't chase at all.
You're going fullback to fullback. You know, like not many teams in the world can do that, but you've got to be aware and you've got to bed in. Like especially, and it's 1-1 as well. Like if you come away from Anfield with a 1-1 draw, you'd snap your hand off for it, and that's just facts. You've got to defend. Like you've got to defend, and I'm surprised by Willian because usually Willian's quite good at that. He's quite good at.
He's got a great work rate, yeah.
Exactly. So I didn't fully understand it. I wasn't like it's not like I came away with that learning anything new about Liverpool.
Nah.
Or Arsenal.
No.
Like you know,
they passed up some good opportunities to level it. The Lacazette one, I don't know what he did. I don't know what he did for the first one where he's offside. It seemed to psych him out for the second one.
Because the first one, you think he tried to chip Alisson and Alisson just didn't go down, and then the second one, it was like he thought, right, well, I can't chip him. I'm just gonna hit it right at him.
Yeah,
it was just such a bad chip the first one as well. Though it was like
it was really bad.
Knee height basically, and then. I don't know if it would have been called back for offside. It was very tight, but the Ainsley Maitland-Niles one where he was literally the freedom
when he shinned it, I think he was off, but it was a terrible.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't think about like it's one of those you don't think about being offside in this. I'm glad that they're doing it now the same way that they do it in.
It makes so much more sense.
Play it on. You know, like I know maybe in the back of your head you're thinking I could be offside here, but you can't think like that. If you're a good attacker, you just go, I'm going to stick this in the net, and then if they pull it back, they pull it back. Who cares? But I don't like. Again, it's another like I didn't learn a lot about Liverpool. I didn't learn a lot about Arsenal. But I tell you,
I learned a little about Jota.
But let's forget about Diogo Jota for a minute. I'm waiting to see Keanu Hoover. That's who I'm. That's going to start that deal. Teams that I did learn a lot about.
Yeah.
Man City and Leicester.
That was confusing. Well, Manchester City continued to confuse me, to be honest. I
actually didn't learn anything about City in that game. That was a very City performance to me. Like, obviously, they don't usually concede 5 goals, but like that defense is City's. That's what they do. Literally, all 3 of their defenders that they had since last season gave away the same penalty.
Yeah,
someone got in front of them. I just thought, what do? I'll pull them. I gotta get them back. Like, they just pulled them down. It was the same foul.
It was like looking at them. I'm just like, have you not like the first one? Inexcusable, but like it happens. The second one, I'm like,
at least Vardy was getting the shot away in that one.
Yeah, it's like, do you not watch the first one? And then the third one, I'm like, this is a meme now. Like, what is that? And now they're going to spend, 65 million on Ruben Diaz?
Ruben Diaz. Like,
I saw some tweeting like the answer to your problems isn't somebody that most people hadn't heard of 3 days ago or something. Maybe he is. Maybe he's the next Virgil van Dijk to come into the league, but I doubt it.
They've literally just spent big on Nathan Ake like a week ago.
So now you're spending the guts of £100 million on 2 centre halves. Now, whether they shore up your defence or not is another thing, but you've got to do something. There's got to be something.
I'm shocked that they persist with Benjamin Mendy at left back.
He's one of the worst signings in a long time for his price. He's been so bad. Like,
to think about it, like, I know Bakayoko got a lot of the heat from, like, that Monaco team who got big moves.
Yeah.
Like, Mendy has been hideous. He's been hideous.
Chelsea saw Bakayoko wasn't that good and they pushed him out. City persist with Mendy to their own detriment.
Like, and they've had options there. Like, I know Zinchenko isn't a left back, but he has played there.
Yeah, but he's also better than Mendy.
Yeah, but like you push out.
You think Fabian Delph kept him out of the team at left back for a season? Surely that's alarm bells are ringing. I know he was injured for a lot of it, but
Delph did a job there.
Yeah, I know. That's more embarrassing to me than Moreno being kept out by Milner. Like, It's
To
really
be fair,
not
Mendy
good.
was injured with a cruciate injury for a lot of that, but even then, he wasn't exactly setting the world right. And
beforehand, yeah.
Yeah, like on that, say, Mendy being a poor signing. I think another one for City that just really hasn't done what they need him to is Rodri. I really don't think he's been good.
He annoyed me on Sunday, first of all, with saying that, we deserve to win. Leicester played an ugly game or whatever. You played for Atletico Madrid, shut your mouth. But yeah, I really don't. Obviously, he was signed in to be Fernandinho's understudy and then eventual replacement. I imagine that's
he's
what.
just not.
He just doesn't look up to it. Like
he's not as quick. He's not as nimble. He can't play with the ball nearly as well as Fernandinho.
Yeah, like people forget what Fernandinho like was before he went to City. Like I know it's very difficult to kind of envisage a player like Fernandinho being a virtual number 10. Like, but that's
he
what
could
he
play
was.
all over the
He
midfield.
could like play anywhere. Now play in defense as well, despite being like smaller than me. It seems I don't even know how tall he is. I know
I think he is about 5'9" or so. Yeah.
You know, like he's such an intelligent footballer, and like City are gonna find City can find those like very very high IQ footballers to play further up the pitch for them, but they can't seem to replicate it going back the way, you know. So Company's gone, and like there's not been a discernible replacement that could play like Vincent Company, who knew how to play, you know. And let's be like as well. Let's remember, Company went from being a midfielder starting for City to going into defense eventually. They can find a replacement for David Silva, and you would presume it's Phil Foden, but like Rodri doesn't fit that bill. He doesn't fit that description. I don't like. He can do a role and he can do it like grand. He can get you a 7 out of 10 every week, but you need to have a bit more impetus in there. You can't like it's like it's what I was saying about United last week about like it's all well and good being like a neat footballer who can play it off to the side and play it back and just play lateral passes all day.
Sorry, I saw
yeah, the cat just threw me for a loop.
Apologies, they're having a fight here and it's annoying.
Oh no, good cameos.
Anyway, yeah, sorry for that disturbance.
That's okay. But that's the thing, like you want players in high level midfield around Europe, like the best teams in Europe. They're not just those neat players that can play it sideways, play lateral passes, you know, keep ball movement. Like football has moved on from Makaleli, really. Like you know, you need to do
it's
more.
moved on in both directions. We don't really have traditional defensive mids or attacking mids. Like we don't have a 6 or a 10 anymore. It's just a lot of 8s.
Exactly. But you need that because but then those 8s have to be able to go and step out and play wide, like not traditional wingers, but need to play as kind of inside forwards, like old school football. Like they need to play like 2 inside forwards, like what Chelsea did the first game of the season, like where they played like a Mount and they played like they're playing Werner. Like City's attacking players can do that, but like I'm not convinced on Rodri at all. Like who knows? He could completely change my mind, but for now, I'd like Fernandinho is still key. Like he's 34, 35.
Yeah, that shouldn't be the case.
Still absolutely key for a team like Man City.
That's key to a lot of City's problems too. That they still have to rely on him. That I don't think they envisage still relying on him now.
But this is the thing. But it's happened before. They relied on Company until he went. Last season, they were still reliant on Silva, not as much, but they were still reliant on him to come in, give him a bit of magic in times of strife. Which is grand. Like
another player, but another player they're reliant on that they don't have right now is Aguero.
Yeah,
like
and even he's
with
the wrong
Jesus
side
out,
of
they do not have a striker. Yeah, they're waiting. Like they particularly with Company, they waited for him to leave before they even thought about replacing him.
And that was
like, you have to have that player ready.
Exactly.
It was supposed to be John Stones, but I think as soon as Guardiola came in, he was like, right, this lad just isn't it.
Yeah.
And I don't think Jesus is good enough to replace Aguero anyway.
Oh no, he's a great backup player and he'd be great on most Premier League teams, but he's not a Man City starter.
And here's also the thing about him as well is that you can't you're not going to be able to replace Aguero with a like for like striker because like
he's one of the best of all time in the league.
And there's nobody quite like Aguero. Like Jesus doesn't do that same role as well. He doesn't occupy that space. He's not the same striker. Like the mold of Aguero is different than like in thinking of players that like could actually fit the mold of Aguero. There's only like maybe Tevez or someone. Like obviously Aguero's a better goal scorer than Tevez, but like just in terms of how they play, like Jesus isn't that.
You're not replacing his output directly, but you can ask for another couple of goals from Sterling, from Mahrez to bring it up. Like you can tweak the system so it's not so reliant on playing through the centre forward.
Exactly.
And
And
City
that's
can do
something
that.
that City need to do quite quickly. Like, but that being said, like Leicester were there.
Oh yeah,
Leicester
have to
played
give credit to them. They were great.
And the 2 goals that weren't penalties were absolute peaches as well.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah. Oh my god.
The Mahrez goal was unbelievable, but the Madison goal was just so top in.
It's just perfect. Perfect.
The Vardy one, I don't know if he meant to lift it over the keeper like he did, but
All credit to him. Let him have it.
Yeah, no, it
it's
seemed
beautiful.
like James Madison was watching the Pats match on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
He just showed exactly what he can do.
Few great League of Ireland goals this weekend actually.
Yeah,
Jack Byrne's second as well.
Jack Burns as well in the Ireland squad as well. Which is exactly where he should.
Correct. Yeah.
Exactly.
There should have been no question about it, but there was just because of how the Ireland team is picked.
It's just so stupid. Like if people asking, like, did you feel pressure in having to like pick Jack Burns? Did I have to pick? Did I feel pressure to pick Darren Randolph? Like no, because if you deserve to be in the squad, you deserve to be in the squad. Like regardless of where you're playing, they're fucking idiots.
Anyway, getting sidetracked. Leicester are fully deserving of that win. Like they were great. Their three penalties. They were 3 penalties.
That's the more traditional sense of a penalty.
Yeah. Now they were. I do think all 3 of them were a little bit of Aaron Connolly, strikers looking for it, but they got it. They stuck themselves out. They said, "Hey, trip me up."
Yeah. If defenders are willing to go in there, then strikers are going to go down.
Yeah.
And they're
they said, "Here, Benjamin Mendy. Here's my leg. Go ahead and pull it for me." There you go.
On the corner of the box, going absolutely nowhere. I might add for that one. Are the same problems already resurfacing for City as last season? Like in the sense that like they're going to lose games that they would have won in the Centurion season or the 18-19 season.
They're going to lose games, and they're going to talk about but Laporte was out, but Aguero was out. You don't have those excuses. You got too much money and too many resources to say things like that.
You can't have those excuses, and it's a good thing for them that it's happened now.
Yeah,
like I think
still
that's
have time to address it.
The only bonus is that the transfer market does extend for a certain period of time, so they can bring in Ruben Diaz. Like I don't know whether they're going to go for somebody else. I doubt it.
They can't.
They're probably going to overextend themselves just in terms of financial fair play. But that's the only bonus and they can't allow it to happen. I think it will happen though. I wonder who it's going to be against, because I don't know. Like Guardiola has to be a bit more pragmatic as well. Like the first game of the season against Wolves, where he played Rodri and Fernandinho in those roles, I was like, oh, really? Are you going to do that? But it worked out well, and they looked great. And now they're immediately going back. They've conceded 5 at home.
I'd be worried for them at the weekend against Leeds.
I'm just looking at their fixtures now. They're not particularly nice.
But Leeds, I might as well talk about them too. That they have now won 2 out of 3. They look very good going forward. Not the best guy at the back, so it could be another 4-3 kind of scenario.
Yeah. Well, they finally got that clean sheet the weekend.
Yeah, I'd say their fans would probably prefer that to the 4 goals that they've been scoring. They'd probably prefer 90 minutes.
Their fans were consistently telling me that going forward we're not that great, but defensively we're solid. And then the first 2 matches just threw everything for a loop. That was more of a Leeds performance. It's going to be entertaining, but it's going to be 1-0.
And who scored again?
Yeah, Bamford for Ireland is what I say.
Yeah,
it's
still available.
Is he this season's? And when I say this season, I mean the first month of the season's Timo Pukki. We're just not going to hear about him after Christmas.
I hope. I hope.
I think his case is a little bit different to Pukki, because I think Leeds will be a lot better than Norwich and won't fall away and be as bad as Norwich were in the second half of the season.
And they're not dependent on solely Patrick Bamford.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
they
they've
do
got
have
a litany of other.
a record signing on the bench because of him at the minute, and you'd imagine that will change eventually.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I think it'd be. I
He
think
was
if there
subbed
was
off
anybody,
though.
it'd be
He was
Dominic
double subbed.
Calvert-Lewin. But like even
Yeah.
that, like he's not the star attraction in that Everton team either. So
Are we ready to start talking about Sheffield's patented second season syndrome?
I've been saying this since before the season
Yeah.
started. I really don't think. Well, I could be completely wrong, but I don't know. It looks like teams have figured them out. It looked like that before the end of last season too.
Because
Obviously the
have you
Chelsea
seen the
Tottenham
fixtures?
results changed people to or like masked it a little bit, but like
Yeah,
there was
like
so many games where they were just looked different after the lockdown.
they have 0 points on their next games. They have Arsenal away, then they Fulham at home, which they come on, you got to beat Fulham.
They have to
And then
win that.
after that,
yeah,
but then so it's Arsenal, Fulham, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea.
like I think the as a microcosm of how their season could go is like it's literally that Burke Robinson swap deal, like which just it baffled us when we heard it, and
Yeah.
it's baffling me even thinking about it now, and like because they need a striker who scores as well, like
And while Robinson isn't that like a striker who scores goals, at least he has scored a Premier League goal and
He's got
does
some
play
legs on
football.
him.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Oliver Burke has not played football for about 4 years because he's so bad.
It's true. It's true.
But not only have they not picked up a point, they haven't scored a goal. And now, to be fair, they should have scored on Saturday or Sunday, and they had a penalty against Villa the week before, but they still no goals from 3 games tells its own story.
Exactly. Like they will be all right defensively. Like I don't think that they're gonna
Get hammered.
eating loads of goals. Like the way that they're set up is very solid, and they've got their defense is what it is. Like they're pretty good at the back. Again, Aaron Ramsdale in goal is Aaron Ramsdale in goal. I won't speak on what I think of Aaron Ramsdale. But
Is O'Connell out for the season? Did I see, or he's facing surgery that could?
he could be
cover
out for
the
an
season?
extended period of time, yeah, which is not ideal for
No.
for that team. He's pretty much a leader in that defense, even though Egan is kind of a de facto leader. O'Connell is the one that can drive them. Like he's probably, in terms of that setup, probably the best centre half and how he's equipped to get up the pitch and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, Basham, Egan, and O'Connell have been there
for
they were there
seasons,
all
yeah.
last season, and now one of them is gone for basically the whole campaign. That's
And
not
they did
great.
like they struggled when they put in Robinson last season as well. When I think it was O'Connell that was suspended, like, and you did see that there was a bit of hesitancy around the. They didn't look as solid. I think Egan stepped up his game, but like the sort of defense as a whole fell down. They need to score. It's point blank what they need. Like I don't think that there's much else to say on Sheffield
I
United.
just don't see where the goals come from. Like when you have Billy Sharp, brilliant goal scorer, but
in
getting
League
on,
One in the Championship, like he's not a Premier League player. Like I
to
love
be
him.
fair, he picked up a few last season into his credit,
because he will do that because he's a goal scorer. That's grand,
but he's getting on as well.
And also, I'm not looking for 4 Premier League goals from a striker, and he'll need 30 games to do it. Like you need
10
more.
at least.
They're gonna have to spend a bit of money. They're gonna have to do so. I know they spent a lot on Sander Berge in January. Still waiting to see him come into himself because he's a good player in there. But they need and they need to spend big on a striker, and a striker that's not fucking Ollie McBurney.
They do at least Musa as well. But again, these are all strikers that will get you 5 goals this season, not
they're not
10,
going to get
15.
you. You need to hit double. Like, look at what Maupay did for Brighton. Like, I know that he came from the Championship as well, but like, he scored more than McBurney.
Yeah.
You know,
like Newcastle did a great job snatching up Callum Wilson because a lot of teams should have been in for him.
Yeah, big time. Like, what else is there to talk about from the weekend? Is there anything we missed?
I think we covered all those
Everton
games
are going to
anyway.
win the league, aren't they?
No,
They're looking like the most likely team to. Well, them and Leicester, the only teams that will give Liverpool a run at the minute. But
they're going to win the league. I think their Spirit of the Blue song is going to reach #1 the UK charts. I saw someone say something great. It's like the most heartening thing about Everton doing well at the start of the season, that all their fans genuinely don't know what to do. They don't because they have a genuinely good team and they're like, oh my god.
You'd expect them to fall away, but
they will fall away. But like, here's the thing,
but
I'd rather
they're
fall
definitely
away.
gonna do better. Like, they're already better than last season.
Yeah.
Well,
like last season they got 12th.
Yeah, it's not good. They haven't been good enough for you since they got the top 6 ahead of United in 2013-14. They haven't been good enough.
Yeah,
this is a genuinely really good squad with a world-class manager.
Exactly, and you've got like, all right. So say if James is out, or for whatever reason, like, Gylfi Sigurdsson is still a fucking brilliant player. Like, he's a good player, and you wouldn't be dependent on him because Richarlison keeps on getting better and better.
Yeah.
I think
Alex Iwobi out of that Poxy team.
Bernard is a handy little sub to bring on as
Bernard's
well.
a good player.
He's a good player.
I actually think Everton could be a good bet for something like the League Cup because they have the midfield and attack to rotate every week. That
I think the early kind of I think the early kind of defining moment for Everton season will be in 2 matches time. The first game after the international break is the Merseyside derby. I think that'll be a big moment for them to really try and show up.
Is it in Anfield or Goodison?
It is in Goodison as well. So,
well, that's a big chance to make. Although I do think that home advantage has kind of gone out the window this season.
Absolutely.
2 wins out of 10 games for home teams is not.
But they are also extremely cursed at Anfield, so they'll take it.
Yeah, that's fair. Since like what, 99 or something? Since Franny Jeffers like or something?
All I remember seeing was that Harvey Elliott wasn't alive when they won.
Yeah,
I saw that
they had the opportunity.
Westerveld and them, man. So
Blackpool have gone from League 2 up to the Premier League, beaten Liverpool at Anfield, gone back to League 2 and back up to League 1 since Everton last won at Anfield.
And like, this includes a game where Liverpool only played the kids.
Yeah, that
Curtis Jones won, they should have won that one. That was their chance.
Do you give any Rory Smith from the New York Times said on Twitter, like, this could be the season where you have a Leicester kind of team because of the congestion and everything that goes with it.
Because when Leicester did it, there was no top team. Like, Liverpool are still there.
But when the Champions, his argument was when the Champions League kicks in fully, that like the top teams will have their hands so full.
I don't see. Brendan Rodgers managed team, like, so say Leicester for it'd be Leicester or Everton would be the two.
They're the only two, unless you were to get Arsenal as one of the.
And I would say disregard Leicester because Brendan Rodgers managed them. Like, he can't do it in the he could do it to a point in the Premier League, and then he's got a ceiling.
He can do it until he has expectations.
Exactly. Ancelotti, on the other hand, different beast. But again, like, if Everton hit a patch and they lose Allen and they lose Allen and they lose, like, say, a Calvert-Lewin or something, like, something happens.
James goes through a rough patch or something.
You know, like, who's going to step up? Theo Walcott? No. Alex Iwobi? Yeah. Come on. You know, I don't think you're going to get that, like, Mark Albrighton's come out of nowhere and been.
And look, this is, like, you got the congestion, but this is the same Liverpool team that won it last year, plus the 3 biggest positions filled that they needed: a backup left back, a proper centre mid, and a backup winger.
Exactly.
They are the best. And so, with how City have started, it is Liverpool's to lose, I think. Yeah,
I'm my switch up to Liverpool because they've signed Thiago, even though he has coronavirus. I think he's a solid.
Don't think that's the worst time to get it though, considering they've one game and then an international break.
Yeah, it keeps them out of the international break, which is great. Fine by me.
Right. Well,
looking at one. Talking about signings, I've seen United have
Sancho's coming.
What do we think of that bid? I am baffled by United's transfer strategy. Just off the.
That's exactly it. You know why that was released? Because United released it to go, look, we're trying.
It's like West Ham with Tarkowski. I just, if United were serious and they've offered 91 million according to most reports, why did they not do this in August when when every other club was doing their business? And if they weren't serious about it, but if they weren't serious about signing Sancho, and like the world and its mother knows that United need a right winger or someone in it to bolster their attacking options.
Well, the other one is that they've offered, or they're looking to sign Ousmane Dembele.
That's a lie.
Who said he's not leaving?
That's such bullshit. Why would the rumors say they offered more for Ousmane Dembele, who is way less proven and way more injury prone than Jadon Sancho?
No,
It just-
they inquired about him, and Barca 50 to 60 million. They have an offer.
Yeah,
there.
they want him on loan according to Fabrizio, and I trust Fabrizio in my life.
I would.
But,
Too. I would.
but
Yeah.
like looking at Liverpool's transfer business 2 weeks ago with Jota and Thiago, it makes me kind of jealous because not just because of the signs, but the way they did it. Like you didn't hear anything that Liverpool were making any bids for either player until within 24 hours of their signings.
The rumor of Sancho to United has been going on for ages, much like Thiago to Liverpool. But the thing is that Liverpool were like, nah.
Yeah, Liverpool knew they could hold out because Thiago's contract is up next year.
Exactly, but in a weekend, Liverpool were like, actually, you know what? We'll have him grand kill. Come on.
But it's like
it was like a day and it was done.
It's anytime United make any sort of move, apart from Van de Beek, which was so confusing when they just signed him. I've never seen United do business so smoothly, but like it's drawn out media circus. Everyone knows every detail. Like the agents met fucking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for lunch 3 years ago.
It doesn't help that every agent in the world brings up United when they're trying to get their client the new contract.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Some sort of sale. It's always, United are interested in him too now. Like there was talks for a while that United were interested in Thiago as well, and it was probably just to get the price bumped up.
Yeah, because apparently United never contacted Bayern about it, according to our man again in Italy.
Agents just love name dropping them.
Yeah, it is a good way to get more money on the price tag if United are interested. To be fair, they have done business terribly for years, and that is kind of why I understand why the Glazers, as much as I loathe them and every United fan loathe them, don't get their hands dirty with transfers anymore, because they've invested more than £1 billion since Ferguson left, or close to it. And
what do they have to show for it? Yeah.
Look, it all comes back. It comes back to the no director of football, no plan.
It's every manager gets to sign
you don't need a director of football. I don't believe in this.
You need a plan.
You do need a plan, though.
Yeah, a plan is of utmost importance. Like Ed Woodward strikes me as a man who just is trying to do things on the fly continuously.
Every United manager comes in, signs a couple of players to fit their system, leaves a couple of years later, and then a new manager with a new system comes in who those players don't work for.
Exactly.
And then you have a team like even the team that started against Palace had Ferguson players, Mourinho players, Van Gaal players.
It's such a mishmash.
I've seen a lot of United players giving out like that about Mourinho, bringing him back up, saying that he wasn't backed and they're not backing him. And that argument has pissed me off for years. Mourinho signed about £500 million worth of players in 2 seasons and did fuck all with it, and then complained that he wasn't backed. And that has been United fans say they haven't been backed. They've been backed.
They've just made bad decisions.
Terrible decisions. It's bad decision making. Like signing Harry Maguire for £85 million is bad decision making. It's not like it's obviously been backed financially. It's just terrible decision.
It's the most expensive defender in the world. Like it's clear he's being backed. It's
like
you just gotta make better
signings that you forget about as well. Like how much of Lindelof signed? Like 30 million.
35. Yeah, 30 million.
Eric Boy was 30 million. You look, Matic was 40 million, which, to be fair, he actually does still look quite good. But you're paying 40 million for
40 million for somebody who, like, let's be frank, 40 million is where you can get a Scott McTominay, and I know he doesn't do it at the same level, but like he'll do it for 85% of that level. You know,
for 3 times longer.
You know, you could probably find a load of those players in United's academy. I'd say. Like,
look at United's front line. It's mostly like young academy lads.
Bleeding nose, like, you know, and then you've got Rashford and you've got Green, 50 million for Martial.
But that's probably good money because he could be at the club for 10 years.
That's not bad.
50 million for Fred.
I do always say one of my favourite what ifs is if Tottenham did spend 25 million on Martial earlier in that transfer window, they win that league. He had
a great debut season
in 15-16.
He did have a great debut season at United, to be fair.
And he was offered around for 20. That's another thing. It was like he was offered around for 25 by Monaco, and then United waited to sign.
Had a terrible second season.
Exactly, and then they were like, "Fuck it, we'll sign him for double his price."
And there's another player signed that window was Memphis Depay, who was just used terribly. Angel Di Maria used terribly. Romelu Lukaku never really looked the player that United.
And all 3 of those names are doing great for their clubs now.
Yeah.
You have Alexis
Didn't United
Sanchez,
have
who
a? Oh God.
probably the
I
worst
still
signing
think
in the club's history.
I still think the Alexis Sanchez signing was 100% United trying to be like, hey, look at us, Man City, we can still compete with you. They just wanted this. They just didn't want City getting them.
And to be fair, they did want to offload Mkhitaryan in that deal, but
I think the deal itself wasn't bad. It's the contract afterwards was just fucking mammoth, and it just it was an albatross then.
I think it was downhill from when they had to dress up as Fred the Red. Or no, that wasn't him. That was actually Fred dressing up as Fred the Red, which I can understand. But yeah, when they had him playing
The
Glory
piano.
Man United on the piano, it's going downhill from there.
Yeah.
30 goals.
And then sure, didn't he say the other week that I could tell from my first training session that
he wants to leave. Yeah, that's not a great look.
That's not great. That's not great. That's not where you want to start your.
And one more thing on United's dealings with their players, they have they handed Phil Jones a contract in 2018. Who in their right minds looked to Phil Jones 7 years at Old Trafford and said, "Have another fucking 4 years at it still."
And as well, with United and centre halves, it's Chris Smalling is done. He's finished. And he goes and he just enjoys his football over in Italy.
They love him at Roma.
And
I never understood why they let him go though. Everyone knew that Phil Jones was the shit defender.
The dude,
Chris Smalling was never. Chris Smalling was good for a goal, and he was fairly solid. Under Van Gaal, I remember he was 85 rated on FIFA, and I was like, where does this come from?
Oh man.
Another thing on United though, they could be signing this left back.
Tellez by the looks of it. What do we think?
I would have taken Tellez over Chilwell, but I wouldn't have paid I would have taken Tellez over Chilwell, but for not what's the price for
25 million euros.
25.
Yeah.
I'd take him.
It's half the price. Yeah, easy.
In a heartbeat.
He's around the same price as Sergio Regulon.
Yeah, I'd take him.
But with no buyback option,
exactly.
Which is
and Porto wouldn't pay anyway. They'll just find another random.
Yeah, Porto aren't going to pay. By the way,
it'll be the dog's bollocks in 2 years' time. That's just what they do. Yeah, definitely. I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but I think we're all in agreement that they need to sign a forward, because looking at their League Cup game tomorrow, I'd say they'll start Dan James, Odi Nagalo, Juan Mata, and Jesse Lingard again, and that attacking four strikes fear into nobody, not even recently liquidated Morecambe.
I reckon our Temple senior team could probably only concede.
I say we keep them to 3 goals. Dan James would be a nightmare at that level because he's quick.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, but I'd play left back. I'd do him in early doors. And
someone would break his ankle real quick.
To be fair, Mata on his he still has a lot of quality, just too immobile.
Yeah.
Juan Mata is the type of player you want to get, a young Juan Mata, because he's a class player. He was great for United.
Certainly at Chelsea from what everyone saw.
Pretty crazy that he was genuinely a world class player who couldn't even make the Spain squad.
Mm.
They had that much in that position.
Right, we talked enough about United players. About prospective transfers. I wonder, something mad's going to happen, I reckon, before transfer deadline day or on transfer deadline day. Especially in this environment, I think it will.
Come on, give your wildest prediction.
Odsonne Edouard of Celtic signs for Sheffield United.
It's not a bad prediction.
I don't know why I had that in my head.
Is there any rumors of that, or
no? But they need a striker, and they need someone like him, because they'll pay 2 up top. And Edouard you drop David McGoldrick, because he does David McGoldrick's role 10 times better.
And scores goals.
Well, in Scotland, so we'll hold. Right, random prediction, Dan. Who's signing for who? 30 million for Edouard, by the way. That's what I'm saying.
Wolves sign Renato Sanchez. I just think Portuguese players.
Portuguese player could do. Yeah.
He's bounced around a bit.
Shamab, what's yours?
Arsenal fail in their attempts to sign Aouar from Lyon and end up caving and buying John Lundstrom.
I like that. I like that. Also,
Arsenal are failing at like they were supposed to get Thomas Partey, and now instead they're giving Lucas Torreira to Atletico. Like, don't do that deal unless they let you negotiate for Partey.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got to
say
hold
no.
some of the aces there. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's how I always felt that way about when Liverpool sold Suarez to a Barca while trying to get Sanchez. Like, why didn't they use that as a bargaining chip instead of just being like, oh, we'll ask afterwards and let him go to Arsenal, and then we'll sign Balotelli and Ricky Lambert.
and Lazar Markovic.
Ooh,
And Lazar
dark
Markovic
times.
for how much? Lazar Markovic
25
billion.
mil? No, I think he was 20 mil. Lovren was 25 mil.
And Lallana was about that as well.
Yeah, Lallana was a fine sign. I'm still happy enough with that
Yeah.
though. He did well.
Right, lads.
Yeah, well, we talked
I'd
about
call
what's
it a
coming
day,
up.
I'd say.
Well, there's a couple of big fixtures next weekend.
What we
Just
saying?
mention them. Well, we got United Spurs.
Mourinho returning again. What's that face?
Every game is a Mourinho return at this stage. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Like for Mourinho, even though they're playing at home in the League Cup, like Mourinho plays Chelsea again.
yeah.
For whoever side who loses that, or obviously if they draw, though, like Spurs be on 4 points out of 12 if they lose. United be on 3 out of 9.
It
It's
looks
not
pretty
great.
bleak. Looks pretty bleak.
Do you think we might see Gareth Bale?
No,
Or
I
is he
think he's
still
still
out?
there. Is he? I think.
I think
It'd be
he's.
fun to see him. I can't wait for him to come back just to see what happens.
I wonder what's gonna happen. Yeah, exactly. That's like.
And then
I know it's gonna be exciting. I don't know whether it's gonna be
yeah,
good, but I know I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be.
it's one of those games where you'd want like a Bale cam, like you're just gonna watch him. But the other
imagine him and you just put him out on the right and play him against Luke Shaw. Play him down the centre and then just chip balls over Lindelof. Oh my god, yeah.
But there's the other game we already kind of mentioned. That's kind of the big one is Leeds and City. It could be just an absolute hammering.
I think that's gonna be a madness.
It'll be end-to-end goal. It'll end up being 0-0 now with no chances. But
yeah,
that's what
it's definitely gonna be 0-0 because it's the hyped game too.
It's gonna be like a really 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 entertaining 1-0. That's what it's gonna be.
Because it's the 5:30 game as well, which is the one everyone waits for, which means it's gonna be shit.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
I'd love to see a massive goal fest, like the beat Portsmouth and Reading kind of goal fest, like 8-5 or something. Would be great for the
well, only if Leeds win.
To be fair, if it was 8-5, at least fucking 8 of those goals would be penalties, probably based on the current
trends. Yeah. Right. Lads.
Actually, that's my wild prediction. A player deliberately shoots away from goal while having an open goal to try and hit someone's hand.
I saw someone that was like, imagine Henry played in this generation of the Premier League, like because he always was doing that. He always used to like face up a defender and then just flick it against his hand and then go like handball.
Wait, so you know Kai Havertz handball that didn't get called? What if he controlled it with his hand and then kicked it into a defender's hand?
You have to go with the first.
Open up a can of worms here.
This isn't the good. We're like an hour in. Let's not talk about that.
Fuck that, right?
Yeah.
Shamrock, say goodbye to the people then.
That's a very elongated episode of the Journeymen.
We can't keep saying they're all this long now. They shouldn't be, but they just are.
Yeah. We get carried away, and we need our producers back in Leo and Scott. Hopefully they'll be with us soon. We'll be sending out a missing persons report for Scott soon if he doesn't surface. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you're still here, well done. We'll see you all next week. Looking ahead to Ireland's mammoth qualifier against Slovakia, and we'll be looking back on the weekend that is to come up. So from me, Sean, and Dan. Good night. God bless.